Gray Zone Warfare might be about to become a very different game. Over the past couple of weeks, Madfinger has been dropping devlogs for the upcoming Spearhead update version 0.4, and if you piece them all together, it becomes pretty clear what they're trying to do. This is not just another patch. They're actually trying to fix the core experience of the game itself, including movement, combat readability, AI behavior, the loot system, the progression loop, vendors, the economy, and even how new players learn the game. And today, we just got the third devlog, which might actually be the most important one out of the entire three, because this one tackles the systems that control how the game actually plays long term. So, before we break that down, let's quickly recap the other two devlogs, because together they paint a pretty clear picture of where Gray Zone Warfare is heading. If you're into Gray Zone Warfare, consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel, because I feel like the next 2 weeks are about to be pretty insane for this game. The first devlog focused mostly on player-driven improvements, so this was about fixing the feel of the moment-to-moment gameplay. Movement being reworked to feel more fluid and weight-based. There's now two types of sprint, a tactical sprint for covering distance, and a burst sprint that's faster but drains stamina quickly. They covered the enemy hit reactions, legs breaking, causing enemies to limp, and heavier hits, producing longer animations. They talked about, overhauling the audio system, so things like exhaustion and injuries and medical actions and nearby combat are much clearer through sound. Basically, the entire goal of the first devlog was to make combat more readable and responsive, and to make that moment-to-moment gameplay feel much more fluid. The second devlog focused on new content coming with 0.4, so that includes a ton of additions to the world of Lemang. More than 25 new locations have been added across the map. If you guys want to watch my in-depth recap, it will be linked in the description and a top pinned comment. But they added 25 new locations to the map, along with environmental biomes like burned forests, swamps, and shot out areas. Enemy factions were redesigned, so each group now has its own appearance, equipment, and bosses. There's 8 new weapons coming to the game, over 380 new weapon parts, more than 150 pieces of gear, and just a completely expanded loot pool. Madfinger Games also doubled the amount of lootable items. They added hundreds of lore objects across the map. So essentially, Devlog 2 was about making the world feel bigger, richer, more in-depth, and with more variety. But today's devlog is where things start to get really interesting, because this one focuses on the core gameplay loop, which is progression, tasks, vendors, and the economy. So basically the systems that determine whether the game actually has long-term replayability, which has been one of the downfalls of Gray Zone Warfare since launch. So the first change that's coming, which is something I don't know if the game desperately needed, but it is new player onboarding. So right now, I guess you could say Gray Zone Warfare could be a little overwhelming when you first start. You're looking at the map, you're trying to figure out what missions to take. There's a lot of different pieces of gear. There's a lot of different movement. There's a lot to the game. Update 0.4 introduces a dedicated tutorial area with things like an obstacle course, a shooting range, and an infirmary that walks players through the basics. So the tutorial only takes a few minutes and can be skipped if you already know what you're doing. But I think outside of the tutorial, the bigger addition here is the new field manual inside the game. It contains over 110 pages that explains the mechanics and the system. So for a game with as many systems as this one has, I think it could actually make a pretty big difference for new players. The next major change, which I'm most excited about, is the task system, which has been completely redesigned. So previously, and as of right now, tasks are more linear and one time only. You complete a mission and then that's it. You unlock the next mission, you go do that one. And very, very linear. You're running the same paths. You're going to the same starter town. You're branching out from there, doing the same missions. It's the same kind of complaints I had with Tarkov, where every single wipe, you're constantly running to get the pocket watch. You're constantly doing the beginner starter missions. It's always the same. But now, most tasks are replayable, which immediately makes that progression loop much more sustainable long term. Tasks are now divided into 3 categories. So you have main tasks, which progress the story forward. You have side tasks, which expand the lore of Lemang. And then you have contracts, which are more simple, repeatable objectives that are spread across the map. Update 0.4 is adding over 100 new tasks and contracts, along with more than 50 updated ones, bringing the total to over 250 tasks to do in the game. The devs are clearly trying to build a progression system that gives players more freedom instead of forcing everyone down the exact same linear path. And with that, the map itself is also getting a progression system. Lemang is now divided into regions that unlock through vendor reputation. So because it's an open island, you can technically explore anywhere on the map, but tasks will unlock gradually as you build reputation with vendors. Completing tasks increases that vendor rep, which unlocks new regions, harder missions, and alongside that, better equipment. This also means players will naturally move across the map instead of constantly revisiting and going back to the same locations. I'm very curious to see if this is going to have an effect on player replayability and if this is going to be an update that just brings people back in for a moment and then trickles off again, or if it's going to keep an audience longer term. They also have task failure penalties, which is really, really cool. So there's a new risk element to these tasks. If you die during a mission, it fails and you lose 10% of the reputation that you would have gained. For example here, if a mission would normally give you 200 rep, failing it costs you 20 reputation. The task will eventually return to the pool after a cooldown period, so you can't run a task, fail it, die, and then run back and do it again. Missions now actually carry weight, which is what I think this game actually needs, is more risk reward and more, I'm not gonna say punishing, but I mean, it kind of is. They need more risk. Alongside all of these changes, the vendor system has also been completely reworked. Each vendor now specializes in specific types of gear. Handshake focuses on Western military equipment. Artisan is focusing on more civilian gear and storage containers. Vendor access is now tied to rank milestones, and higher tier gear unlocks gradually as you progress. And the devs also increased prices for many high-end items, and they moved some gear into world loot only to encourage exploration. Thank fuck. One very welcome change is that vendor items now have unlimited stock. So no more refreshing vendors hoping that an item shows up. If you have the information, you know this vendor sells this item, you have to have this rep with it, you can go do that and you know it's going to be there. Outside of every other complaint that I've had about Grayzone in the past, their AI has been a huge pain point for me and many others. And apparently AI behavior is also getting some changes in this update. Enemies can now spawn in groups and patrol designated areas. Boss enemies will appear alongside their guards, which should create a more structured encounter system. Some NPCs also have new roles like bodyguards and sergeants that affects how fights play out. The devs also say they've addressed situations where AI could detect players unrealistically or land extremely accurate shots from long distance. I am hoping that the AI combat is much better this time around. That's always been a huge pain point for me. The AI just really seemed very unrealistic. Sometimes you're getting shot from so far away, they're dinking you, they're instantly 180 flipping to you. And honestly, it just kind of got fucking annoying. You're doing these tasks, you're committed, and then you just get taken out by a really cheeseball way. And so I hope that there's a lot of improvement there. Another new feature is a full statistics system. The game will now track more than 500 different player stats. Things like tasks completed, exploration progress, ammo used, blood lost, food consumed, and much more. Basically turning your gameplay history into a giant stat tracker. I gotta say, this update is making me feel like this is kind of going towards like an MMO FPS territory, even though it seems like they're focusing now more on PvE. Player statistics, the way that the missions are laid out now, it feels MMO-like. And then finally, there are several technical improvements coming with the update. My God, guys. Optimization work has reduced RAM usage by roughly 3 gigs, which should help players running 16 gigabyte systems. Holy shit, optimization is coming to Grayzone. Scope rendering performance has improved by around 50%, which should reduce performance drops when aiming. And with that, server performance has also apparently improved, with the developer saying it's in the best state it's been since the early versions of the game. So this is a massive fucking update. 3 devlogs worth of content to talk about here. I'm genuinely excited for when this launches. And guess what, guys? We have a date. The 0.4 Spearhead update launches on March 31st, with Supporter Edition owners gaining early access on March 27th. Any progress made during this preview will carry over to the official launch, so if you're a supporter, you're wanting to jump in, you can get access on March 27th. If you're still deciding whether to get Gray Zone Warfare or upgrade to one of the game's editions, apparently a sale is coming as well. They're not specifying the exact date, but it will take place sometime before the release of 0.4. The devs went on to say the sale will also mark a clear milestone among supporters to further recognize those who have been with them since the beginning. They're introducing exclusive morale patches. Supporters who join during the upcoming sale or after will receive a patch with silver etching, while OG supporters who join before that sale goes live will receive not only the silver one, but also a special gold patch to commemorate you supporting the game since the early days. And you guys are watching this on the 18th. Tomorrow, March 19th, they're going to be hosting a Q&A dev stream on their Twitch channel that you guys can jump in. In addition, a new Twitch Drops campaign will begin alongside the update on March 31st. So make sure you guys are in the chat when I stream starting March 27th. My channel is linked down below. Just search Big Fry TV when you're over there and you'll find me. If you look at all of these 3 devlogs together, it shows me that they're not just adding content. This isn't a fucking day-night cycle update. It's trying to reshape how the entire game works. Better onboarding, more replayable progression, a redesigned task system, an overhauled vendor economy, and a world that's bigger, in-depth, and more dynamic. If all of this lands the way Madfinger Games are hoping, I think Spearhead might be the update that finally pushes Gray Zone closer to the vision the team has been chasing since launch. But as I said in my previous video, the early access update launch is going to tell the tale. Are players going to vibe with the changes? Are they going to care? We won't really know until players actually get their hands on it. I want to know what you guys think. Are you excited for 0.4? I think personally for me, this is the update that brings me back to the game full time. If the update goes out and if it's like what they're saying here on paper and it plays the way that I'm envisioning it here, this update is the fucking shit. Leave a like on the video and leave a comment with your thoughts on the 0.4 update. And I have a question for you guys. What kind of content do you want to see me make on Gray Zone Warfare? Are you into the news stuff? Are you into the patch notes? Are you into gun builds? I'm not a big gun build guy. But there's just something about this update that is bringing me and calling me to Gray Zone Warfare, and I really want to dive in on March 27th. As always, my name is Big Fry. Shout out to the Fry Nation. Guys, we're so close to 350,000 subscribers on this channel. It has been evading me for fucking years now. We go up, we're 346, we're 347. I say something controversial that people don't like, and it drops back down. We climb back, and then I say something, and then it drops. Guys, if we can hit 350,000 subscribers before Gray Zone Warfare launches 0.4 at the end of the month, I'm going to do some giveaways on my Twitch channel. I'm going to buy copies of the game, and we're going to give it out to our community. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. As always, my name is Big Fry, and I'll see you on the next one.